Where's my notes? Welcome to the October 9th, 2025 Parma City School Board District Board of Education special meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Kohar.
Present.
Ms. Krupik. Ms. McTaggart.
Present.
Mr. Ruda.
Present.
Mr. Vaughn.
Present. Mr. Hahn, can you please confirm this meeting is currently being live streamed?
Yes, sir, it is.
Can you please monitor the live streaming throughout the meeting? If there is a problem, please speak up immediately so that the technical difficulty can be addressed.
I will.
Thank you. So I'm going to dispense the reading of the special meeting notice. And then we have a discussion. We have Mr. Chris Moore here from K-12 to discuss five-year forecast with us. So Mr. Moore, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. So I just want to say thank you for inviting me here this evening. A little bit about K-12. We work with a little over 300 school districts statewide. This is our, I guess, 24th year of being in business. We handle over a third of the district's 5-year forecasts in the state of Ohio, use our models. We do superintendent treasurer searches, capital planning, board administrative services. I have 31 consultants, retired superintendents, treasurers, current superintendents, things like that. So I'm your consultant. I've worked with your school system for quite a while in several other districts in the Cuyahoga County area. I have 43 years of experience, 35 of it as school treasurer. The other was state auditor's office, audit supervisor. So I don't like to go into all that. You have this in your packet. On the left-hand side, you'll have a copy of all the slides. And on the right-hand side, which is primarily what I'll be referring to as we go through this, you have the one page of your 5-year forecast. In a green packet is the documents that we're going to go through. I'm going to show you about state aid. And then in the blue document, you have something I wanted to show you, because it's pretty important what the state of Ohio calls your base funding per pupil versus what your actual costs per pupil are. So I find that to be one of the areas I think that caused your precipitous drop in state aid in the last couple of years. So, and it will fall again here in 26. So I mostly want to just talk to you a little bit about, your 5-year forecast. Obviously, you have some deficits coming up on line 15.01. You can see that in the forecast. I have that highlighted down here in the bottom right corner. Okay. So, with that, I look up at the top. I've also highlighted the 2 lines of your 5-year forecast that relates to state funding. And you can see right off the bat, when you take a look at where you were in fiscal year 23, you went up to 24, you were on the formula, and then you began to fall in 25, and then you will fall sharply in 26. And that's what I wanted you to know, okay, of why that happened. And in the green packet, I'll show you all of that information. I can go through that. So if you want to write any notes on that, that'd be great. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the mechanics of state funding and answer some questions, try to show you why that happened. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about where your school system gets its revenue, just right off the top. In fiscal year 25, you received 27% of your revenue from the state of Ohio. In 26, it's going to be around 25%, again showing a drop. So when state aid goes down, your local funding picks up in terms of the percentage. And I think based on some reports, I think that are pretty widely known right now about property taxes and funding of schools in the state, you would see a shift from the state of Ohio. In fiscal year 04, the state of Ohio, most school districts, 48.5 cents out of every dollar came from the state of Ohio. In fiscal year 27, when this budget's over, they're anticipating that would have fallen to 32.2%. So when it shifts from state to local, obviously school districts have to seek other sources of revenue, typically property taxes. 221 districts have school district income taxes in the state. So that's that shift, and you're seeing the shift here, is really what I'm saying. So right now, 25% of your revenue comes from the state of Ohio. Again, largest part is local funding, but you still have enough coming from the state that when they start to reduce your funding, it can still affect your forecast. Expenditures pretty much about the same for 25 as they were in 26. In fact, the last 3 years, your expenditures, I think, from 23, 24, 25 increased to about 3.1%. So just right around inflation, really. But that's where your money is spent. You're a little bit around 80% for salary and fringe benefits. That's pretty much between 76 and 83%. It's about what every school in the state has for a service industry. So when we put a declining enrollment picture, not enrollment per se, but declining state revenue, and they're not keeping pace with that. You can kind of see the red line is your expenses, blue line is your revenue, and that part of that dip right there is reduction in state funding. And of course, your green line is your ending cash balance. That's projected to go negative beginning in '29. So we're going to work off of the green packet now. So just kind of talk a little bit about that. So House Bill 96 is our current state budget. And I said, if this is a timeline for the state budget. It's a state budget that we have probably never seen before. I've been involved with 21 state biennium budgets. I've never seen one like this. And what's really different about it is that we're still working on House Bill 96, okay? About a week and a half ago, the Senate voted to concur with the House on a override of the governor's veto that the House did on July 21st. So that was just, again, October 1. Normally, at this point in time of the year, we know what our biennium budget is going to be all the way through June 30th of 2027. That's not the case, okay? I've heard from folks downtown that the Senate and House may consider going back and taking a look at doing some other overrides of the vetoes, okay? So it's possible that this budget could go all the way until December 31st of 2026 before they can't take action on it any further. That's why this is a budget that we've never seen before. So what comes between now and December 31st of 2026, I don't know, okay? And it could impact a lot of the things that you would be planning on for your school system. So this is different. Normally we have a target, come July 1, we know what the budget is. We wait 90 days for some of the items after the governor's signature to become law, but that's the budget all the way. I don't think that's the case right now. So, all right, so state funding is contributing to your declining financial position. Your state funding, as I pointed out, is 25%. It's not the biggest chunk, but it's large enough to be a problem if you've already got a declining financial condition. The Fair School Funding Plan, which became the new funding model for the state, started in fiscal year '22. That followed an extensive study of about a year and a half of people from the legislature. Cup Patterson is what it was called. They had a House and a Senate sponsor that was very involved in it. They had a lot of school people involved in it. That funding formula is called a Fair School Funding Plan, started for fiscal year '22. This last year, the year we're starting in right now, it wasn't funded. So for fiscal year '26-27, the state did not punch a lot of money into the formula. And I'll show you where that, when you fund the formula, where that comes into in terms of increasing. You'll see they didn't do that. So in fact, any new money that they put in terms of state aid was outside the formula. And they came up with things called a base funding supplement, enrollment growth supplement, and performance supplement. Those weren't in the formula itself. Okay. In fact, Representative Huffman, the chairman of the House, said the Fair School Funding Plan was dead as far as he was concerned, dead on arrival. And they did actually act on that, so it's kind of dead on arrival. I would expect that funding plan will probably not be carried forward after fiscal year '27, since they didn't fund it right now. That is the sixth funding plan that I have seen going back to 1980, where it was the SF-12 from the state of Ohio. And just like every funding plan that came before the Fair School Funding Plan, they all die when they stop getting additional funds put into them, okay? They only survive if they're funded. And I know intimately all of those funding plans, and they all would have worked if they were just funded, okay? So there are 232 districts on the temporary transition aid guarantee and another 17 on the formula transition supplement, which is another guarantee. So roughly 250 school districts out of 609 traditional school districts are on a guarantee. So you would think if you had a funding formula, most districts would be on the formula. And that's not the case. It's starting to become more of a majority are on a guarantee, which means the formula doesn't necessarily work. In fact, as you'll find out, when you actually are just barely on the formula now in 26, you were on the formula 23, 24, and 25, your funding has fallen. So it's almost a bad situation to be on the funding formula when they don't fund it because your funding falls, okay? So falling to flat state funding coupled with serious property tax concerns paints a very bad and uncertain picture, frankly, for your school system and districts across the state. State funding overview. Again, the Ohio Supreme Court washed its hands of what was called the DeRolf case. That's 4 times, finally by May 16, 2003. The new funding formula, fair school funding, began 22. So how I could sit here, in fact, I'm going to teach a 5-hour class. I just had it on October 20th, superintendents, but there's a lot of hundreds of calculations in all of the funding formula itself. However, I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 things that really move your funding, okay? So not everything moves funding the same. I'm going to talk about big things that move your funding a lot, okay? So things that the Fair School Funding Plan does, it calculates a local capacity. That is your ability to pay the base funding share of each student's per pupil amount that the state has determined, okay? The wealthier you are, the more of that share you pay.
Wealthier meaning in assumed property
Yes.
tax value, not necessarily in
Correct.
the
That's
people living in the
Yeah,
property.
nope, it's what the state considers.
So they think we're really rich, but we're really not.
Yeah, well, so the funding in the state of Ohio was set up for the uniform system of public schools to be a shared arrangement between the local community and the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio has always taken money in terms of taxes and helped districts that don't have the local capacity in this case, or the wealth, a little bit more than districts that have wealth. Orange gets 10% of their money from the state. Dublin gets 10%, where I was, from the state. Those are considered wealthier districts. So what money the state of Ohio has, they try to help make sure that the less affluent districts have more money, okay? But this local capacity calculation, I'm going to show it to you. It relies on 60% of your property value, and the Fair School Funding Plan for the first time in 22 added in your federally adjusted gross income. Most funding models only looked at your property value. They felt they were missing a good chunk of a community's wealth by leaving out the federally adjusted gross income.
What is the FAGI? I'm sorry.
A federally adjusted gross income, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, 3 accounting degrees. I always talk about acronyms, so thank you, stop me. And ADM is average daily membership. So that calculates your local capacity and it brings it down to a per pupil basis. That's where the ADM comes in. Then the state calculates a base cost, okay? We'll go through again that. I want to point out, and I'll keep reminding you, that base cost is not your cost, okay? It's a computed, an input cost, okay? It's not your real cost. In fact, your actual cost is about $10,000 below what they have your base cost at. And again, I'll show you that and give you that information as well. But your base cost minus your local capacity times your enrolled average daily membership equals your base state aid. And you'll see where line A is here in just a second. So the bottom line is if you have an increasing assessed value, as you did in tax year 24 was your reappraisal, and you have increasing federally adjusted gross income, which you do, and a declining ADM enrollment, which you do, with no increase in base funding, when the state hasn't increased your inputs, that is a sharp drop in state aid. That's the verbal description of what happened to you in your 5-year forecast from 25 to 26, that precipitous drop, okay? So let's get into that just a little bit more. Just looking at it, base cost, not your actual cost per pupil, and it wasn't adjusted. We're still working off of fiscal year 22 base cost numbers. Your local capacity per pupil, so base cost minus local capacity, which is allowed to update annually, by the way, equals your state basic aid per pupil times enrolled student ADM. That's your base aid. If your base aid is computed to be less than what it was that the state paid your school district in fiscal year 21, you go to the temporary transition aid guarantee. And
What's
this would-
ADM again, I'm sorry?
Pardon?
ADM, what did that stand for again?
Average daily membership.
It's how many kids are.
Student enrollment.
Student enrollment.
It's a fancy way of saying it. Enrollment.
You may encounter the ADM sign there, so I just wanted you to kind of know when you look at the forms what that might be, but it's your student enrollment. So if you take a look at page 2 in the green handout, I gave you some footnotes at the top there, just to kind of help describe that. 'Cause I'm hoping if you want to dig in, I'm not going to plow you through all the stuff. I'm going to plow you through the big picture stuff. It'll help explain some of those things. So bottom right-hand corner is the page number, so I'm going to be on page 2 of 11. So this yep, there you go, page 2 of 11.
Okay.
And that's the slide we're looking at up here, is what you have in your hands. I just wanted to point out that at the end of fiscal year '25, which was a school year that ended June 30th of 2025, your calculated state funding, which is this number right here, was $25,721,693. If you turn to page 3 of 11, this is your FY '26 estimate. That's this current year. You can see that that number has gone from $25,721,000 down to a calculated number of $16.9 million. It's a huge drop in terms of calculated state funding. And I have had a lot of school districts ask me, treasurers, and a couple board members that I've spoken to, how did that possibly happen? And I said, well, it's a complicated story, but let's talk about the big numbers that did the moving to cause that to happen. So, again, just if we look at page 5 of 11, we're going to look at local capacity, then we're going to look at the base funding, okay? Local capacity is your ability, according to the state, to pay part of the base funding per student that they calculate, okay? And we'll start up here with your property taxes. Here is your tax year 24 reappraisal. You can see your value went from $2.6 billion to $3.352 billion, okay? So they will factor in 1/3 of that. So they average in your increase in assessed value over a 3-year period. So if we take that all the way out through 30, this fits into our model, but you can see at 60% of your local capacity's property value, your property value went up quite a bit. So your wealth jumped in terms of your assessed value per pupil. Then they take a look at your calendar year 23 federally adjusted gross income. That went up about a couple $100 million as well, so that jumped, okay? And then your student enrollment. The one thing I would tell you that even if your property value and your federally adjusted gross income stayed exactly the same, if you have a declining enrollment, your per pupil value goes up. As your denominator falls, even if the numerator stays the same, your wealth goes up per pupil. So you can actually look wealthier, and you didn't really get wealthier. You just had a drop in your ADM. So you can imagine if your property value's going up, FAG going up, and your enrollment is going down, all three of those exacerbate what would be considered your local capacity per student. So if we take a look at those three things which are happening for you, there was an increase of $606 in your local capacity for 26, okay? So your capacity jumped, sharply as a result of that, okay? So the next thing I want to look at, we look at your local capacity. Let's see what the state of Ohio says your base cost per pupil should be, okay? So that'll be your next slide. That'll be on, just as an FYI, you have this slide, it's page 11, but just so you know, 85% of all the school districts in the state of Ohio are losing enrollment. You're not alone. Last year, the state lost 0.3% of its enrollment. It's been 21 years in a row that they've lost either 0.1% or 0.3%. But this is 85% of the schools. This is the last 5 years change in enrollment for all the school systems. You can't see the tiny little bars, they look like a mask, but this is all 609 school districts. So from right here, all the way to here is an enrollment right here where it was stable. So enrollment drops all the way up to almost 50%. Very few school systems are actually gaining enrollment, okay?
Could you explain the vertical numbers and going across those years? I don't understand this.
Okay. So what this is the column on the left-hand side, where it says 175,
Yeah.
50, that's percentage, okay? Those are percentages, okay? And we have averaged the change in enrollment for each school system represented by each little purple bar. I know it looks like a mass, but there's actually 609 individual little purple bars in there, where we've taken a look and said over the last 5 years, what's happened to your enrollment? So districts all the way out here are over a 5-year period shown a decline of almost 50% in their student enrollment. And then all the other districts are someplace in between here. I only show this graph because I know you are in a declining enrollment situation. You are by far completely not alone in that, all right? 85% of the schools in the state are losing enrollment to some degree or another, okay? So,
Where is that enrollment going? Where are these kids going?
well, we have some analytical programs that we have run. Oddly enough, it's not just because of the voucher program or things like that. There has been an increase in the number of students leaving school, public schools to take voucher program, but that's just not necessarily the main cause of it. It's just a contributing factor to it, okay? Because a lot of times the number of vouchers didn't go up in some school districts. They were just giving people vouchers that were already going to private schools and things like that. It's a general decline just in school-age children, kind of by and large. Like I said, the whole state lost 0.3% last year, and it's been 0.1 to 0.3, that range for like 21 years in a row.
Families aren't having as many children.
So, yeah, they are going down little by little, just inherently. The population of the state is pretty flat, and folks that are continuing to live here aren't maybe bringing in folks that are young enough to have kids, so the numbers are declining. It's kind of a problem for our state in general in terms of the workforce, housing, things like that, so just in general.
Is it tied to people leaving the state? I don't mean to get off track, but I mean, do they show a trend that people are leaving the state?
I don't know that they're leaving the state. There's just not a lot of new people coming into the state. Or there's just enough coming in to offset the folks that are passing away and doing that.
Not growing, that's for sure.
Right, so we're just kind of stable, I guess. But the number of school-age children, as our population's aging, is going down. So
Thank you.
No, absolutely. Page 6 of 11, this is where the base cost is. So this is the one area I want to make sure that, again, when I say the state of Ohio didn't fund the Fair School Funding Plan, the area that causes funding to go up is this area right here. I've highlighted that, and this area right here in particular. So this is the average annual employee paid insurance cost in the state of Ohio. That was $17,152 as of fiscal year '22.
That increases our cost per pupil?
It increases your base cost, what they say the amount per pupil should be.
Okay.
You want that to go up.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Okay, so, all right, so that's the average of all the schools in the state. That doesn't mean it's your cost per employee for insurance, okay? And that's my message here with all of this. This is your average salary of your superintendent, administrators, teachers, counselors, all these things. These are locked in at fiscal year '22 levels, and they aren't your number to begin with. Like for instance, the teacher here, you're saying the average teacher in the state is $68,022. Yours is like $84,000, okay? In metropolitan areas, these costs are way out of line, but this is the average. But that's the number they use to compute your base cost, okay? So they also have some additional funding down here for academic co-curricular activities. They take a look at what these are with the accounting systems for the schools in the state and average it across all schools. Again, not necessarily your actual costs, okay, by any stretch. And in fact, I'll give you that information. Then they take a look at your enrollment. And of course, your enrollment, again, as I pointed out, is declining each year little by little. And then they'll average that to come up with your denominator, okay? So let's look at the next page. I want to just kind of show you then what they do is they take a look at, again, this line right here. I'm just going to use teacher base because it's the sharpest, but it's the same for, you know, student support, district leadership. They add all this up, divided by your students, come up with a base funding per pupil. But if we look at just your teacher cost, what's the state saying you should be given for your teacher cost? Remember, they're using that $60-some thousand average up there, which is already $15,000 below your average costs per teacher, okay? So what they do is they take a look at your, let's say your kindergarten enrollment, and they take a look at what your kindergarten student enrollment was and divide it by 20. That's how many teachers they say you should have. So if you had 100 students in kindergarten divided by 20, they should say you should have 5 teachers. So a district like Parma and other districts that have multiple elementary buildings, probably multiple middle schools, the more multiples you have, students don't divide evenly into those class sizes. You may have a class size of 18, you may have one that's 26. Yeah, once you hit 27, you may have to hire another teacher. So it doesn't just work like that. And it gets exacerbated the bigger your district is and the more multiples of the buildings at the same level. You have 2 high schools, same thing happens there. Okay? So then they say for grades 1 through 3, we'll take your student enrollment and divide it by 23. And then, you know, for middle school, divided by 25. And then high school, 9 through 12, they just take the number of students you have and divide it by 27. You may have some AP classes that have 8 students in it, or 12 students in it. I know we sure did in Dublin all the time because we wanted to offer that to our students, and that's what our parents, you know, we had a lot of students went to school, that's what we expected. So it doesn't have anything to do with the number of real teachers you have. It's a computed number. They take that computed number, again, not your actual number of teachers, they say you have 367.3 units for teachers based on their formula. You may have 525. It wouldn't surprise me if it's not that far off, actually. Okay? And then multiply it by a average cost per teacher that is 15,000 below what your actual cost is. All right? So in that particular line, they come up with $41 million.
I'm sorry, so how does the state come up with that number that's $15,000 below our average cost?
They just average what all the school teachers in the state make divided by the number of districts that come up with that average.
Okay, so
They-
so you're saying we're $15,000 over that average?
That's a good question. That's a good segue into, in the little blue packet, I wanted to show this to you. State calculated base cost versus actual cost. Okay? I'm going to skip to that slide. That's several slides ahead, but let's look off
Where's
this.
that packet? I'm sorry, is that
This
this
one
the packet that we're
This one right here.
Oh, this one.
If you don't mind. That's why I put these colors in. I just, I'm old school.
Yours was white.
I like it. It is mine's
That's
white.
what
Mine's
threw me
white.
off there for a
I didn't
second.
have enough of my blue paper. I just want to make sure you guys had that.
Thank you.
All right, so on page 1 of 3, this is what, I'm glad you asked this question. Right at the very top, this is called the CUP report. This is from the state of Ohio. It computes costs the same for every school in the state, okay? Your classroom teacher average salary for 24 was $84,427. And by the way, that's FY24. Remember the $60-some thousand up here was frozen at FY22. If they move those average salaries up to fiscal year 24 level, we wouldn't have your drop that you saw from 25 to 26, because that would be putting more money in the base funding up here. Even though your local capacity would have gone up, the base funding would have gone up, and the state's cost would have increased too, okay? So there's been more money coming to you is how that works, all right? But they're leaving FY '22 average salaries in the model, which weren't close to your numbers anyway, and this is what your average cost is, $84,427. It's not 68 or 69,000.
In what fiscal year is this?
This is 24.
This is 24, and so we're still going off of 22 numbers, is what you're saying?
State
So
is.
the state is, and so that's why we're $15,000 over
Yeah.
that base.
That's a
that the
big
state-
chunk of it.
Okay.
And you were already going to be behind anyway, because your cost, the original state funding formula for the state back in the 80s had a cost of doing business factor. It recognized that it costs more to do business here than it would where I grew up, Riverside Local School District, which was the 14th poorest school district in the state. They would usually multiply whatever they came up with in terms of a cost per pupil for you by about 7.5% to give you a boost, because they know it costs more to do business here, okay? They don't have anything like that now.
So this fiscal year '22 number, are they gonna like ever change that?
No.
I think.
Probably not.
Well,
I mean, this, I'm
If,
guessing.
if the
no.
fair school funding plan survives after this biennium budget, it'll start to beg the question, why are you funding schools based off of data that is now, what, 6 years
6 years
old?
old, yeah.
Yeah, they could have bumped it up to fiscal year 2024 at least. I mean, they have the data. By the way, all the data on this cost per pupil stuff comes from the EIS system. They have it all the way through FY '25.
But we're losing the state, the fair funding. Is that correct?
I anticipate that we
Yeah.
will, since they didn't bother to fund it.
Mhm.
You know, and, Matt Huffman, the chair of the House, said it's dead on arrival as far as he's concerned. I got that article from January of this last year.
Unsustainable.
Yeah, well, but, no. Okay, so we're gonna just talk about it. Well, we just gave back $1.1 billion in tax cuts.
That's what he said, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, in '23, we gave back $1.2 billion in tax cuts. What's unsustainable?
Those are his words.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked the
But
question.
didn't they fund it at some level that isn't keeping up with inflation? I thought they were doing something, it just wasn't keeping up with inflation. Please.
Well, you saw an increase in your five-year forecast from '23 to '24. In the '24-25 biennium budget, they moved the average salaries up, to Mr. Vaughn's point, from fiscal year 18 to 22. But for this biennium budget, they left them at fiscal year '22. They didn't budge them a bit.
Right.
And the only new money they gave was outside of this formula.
So it doesn't look at inflation and the effect of inflation
No.
on cost at all?
No.
It ignores it?
Not even close, no. Nope. Right. It's in the process, the funding system is in the process of being killed.
Is that number easy to figure out?
Pardon?
Is that number easy to figure out for the fiscal year '24? What would that normally, what it should be,
Oh,
based on what it is?
well, if your actual cost per pupil,
Not our cost, the state number.
which one, the 16.3?
Yeah.
It
that's like
uses the
8,000.
numbers on
The ones in
24
20.
versus 22.
Right.
Well, yeah,
Really?
even the state number, and right here is the average.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
No, he's
I
asking-
understand where you're going.
I'm asking,
Because
I
it
want to know
sounds like
what-
right now that we're
what
paying
is
everyone
the- what is-
$15,000 over the average.
What is the
So-
number?
This
number for fiscal
If
year?
it was gone off
25.
fiscal year '24, what would that number be? Is there a
Right.
way to find that?
That is fiscal year '24.
They said it was based off of 22 numbers.
If it's 22,
The
I just,
68,000.
all you'd have to do is go back and pull up FY '22 CUP report. I mean, it's on the State Department of Education website. I just didn't bring that along to show you.
So there's a way to find it?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
easily.
Yeah.
Sean, he's like,
But-
yeah, I can do that, no
but-
problem.
But you're not, you know,
It's not gonna matter
You understand.
if we find that number out or not.
So that it
the
doesn't
state
sound
average,
to everyone that we're paying.
average base cost per pupil is this number right here, 8,241 funding for it. And you can see what the statewide average is for school districts is 16,310. That's just for just average schools.
Right.
But your cost per pupil is 18,158. And they say your base cost is, and this is at the bottom of page 7 of 11 of your green packet.
That one.
They say your cost is $8,188 a student, and your real cost is $18,158.
Sorry.
Page 7 of the green.
So, the green document, page,
Not the blue.
Oh,
page
the
7.
green, I'm sorry.
No, it's right, page 7.
Looking at those. Okay.
That's what they say your cost per pupil is. This is what it actually was in '24. So you're already almost $10,000 less in terms of what they're saying that they're funding you for.
I had a question. Not to try to negate this going any longer, but like for your average salary for your teacher, isn't that kind of like misleading? Because it depends on how many teachers and how long they've been here. Because if you had two identical districts, each with 100 teachers, but one district had 60% of them that all are 16, 17 years or higher.
Right, your cost,
And another
your cost would
one
be
that's the
higher.
same, but they're inverted. They're 60% are all newer,
Right.
younger teachers. Your cost, the average isn't going to be the same, even though it's the same number, and you're still spending. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
So-
because of how long.
So all of
how
that-
old your teachers, how long they've been in the district,
For the
or how long they've been
state,
teachers.
for the state average, there's 330,000 teachers in that average.
So they just
Statistically speaking, that's pretty close to what the average is. It would include people at step 30.
No, but what
step
I'm saying is
5.
when you see this figure of 84,000 for what we're paying, that doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean that we're overpaying. That could be that we have
No,
more.
I'm not saying that.
No, I'm not saying
No, I
that you
know.
are. I'm
But it
saying.
looks like we are.
But yeah, so because to somebody, it could look like we are, but it could be because we have a high percentage of teachers that are over 17 years in the district. So we're at
Reality
the
is, it's
higher
going to
end
cost
of
you
the.
more to get that teacher than it would in Steubenville. That's what I'm saying. 'Cause more
Right,
people
yeah.
want to come here because in order to compete for teachers here, just like, in Dublin, we have several people making over $100,000 a year, but just down the road at Upper Arlington, they're 115. So if you want to have those people, you have to compete for more. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're paying too much money. You just live in a higher cost of doing business area than the average school district in the state.
Okay, that's what-
That's the way that is. But your cost is not reflected in this number, is what my point is, okay?
Okay.
You're way behind in what the cost really is for you, So,
Can I ask you a question? So we talked about declining enrollment. Was that just across public schools? Do we have the figure across all schools in the state? Are they declining as well?
85% of them are.
All schools, not
Yes.
just public? I'm asking about all schools. We
I
have that
don't,
number.
I see what you're saying. When you say all, you mean community school, private school?
All of it.
I don't know that. Yeah,
Well, they would be based on what he said, the population is flat right now, but it will decline.
They
because
may
there
be
aren't-
picking up some students because of vouchers from public schools would be the only thing that might help plug that hole. But in general, yes, number of school-age students in the state is going down every year. So, that makes sense?
Let's focus
Yeah.
on Parma.
Well,
We have about 5.
it's all affects Parma, because I think the vouchers are exceeding $1 billion per year across the state.
$1 billion.
So you can look at all this formula any way you want and say, try to explain why we aren't getting it from the state, but the bottom line is that money's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Taxpayer dollars are going somewhere they shouldn't be.
Yeah, $1,064,000,000
Yeah.
actually.
So
So,
we got about
5 minutes.
we
Yeah,
got
we're about
5
5
minutes. What do they really need to know?
well, we're getting there. So, what you really need to know is that your state revenue has fallen, I think I got it. You see where FY '22 costs haven't been adjusted at all.
Right.
If they don't adjust that, they're not putting any input into the formula to give you any additional state aid.
Understand.
But your local capacity, property value, FAGI, and declining enrollment, they allow to adjust every year. So you're comparing 4 years ago data to current data, and it just reduces your state funding. Probably if there's any good news to this, is probably by either the end of this year, it just depends on what your enrollment numbers are coming up here in October, you're about $10,000 away from the temporary transition aid guarantee. So either this year or certainly next year, you will be on the guarantee, and the reductions to you in terms of state aid, you're going to be at your floor. So you've gone all the way from a formula down to the floor.
Is that good or bad? What do you mean?
Well, the only thing good about it is They aren't going to take more money away from you.
But we're not where we need to be.
Oh, no.
We've lost.
You're not going to get any more money either. basically.
Yeah.
So you've got it. That's what they really probably need to know. And all of this has been factored into your forecast. The only thing that we didn't have this year is, I should have used my clicker. I'm sorry, I keep clicking the wrong thing here. Your DPIA was disadvantaged pupil impact aid was 9.7 in '25. It's falling to 8.5. That's the only thing we didn't have because in House Bill 96, they changed the way the funding formula was calculated to include a part of last year and a part of the current year. And it cut everybody in the state's DPIA funding. We just didn't know that.
Quickly, just explain what DPIA is.
Well, disadvantaged pupil impact aid is money the state gives you in a restricted, this line 104 restricted aid, that goes for additional reading support and additional help for students that come from needy families that need just more help. That's how that is determined. You'll see the big increase there from 24 to 25. We go from 4.6 to 9.7. You filed for and was approved for the federal community eligibility program, which provides for free breakfast and lunch for students. That's also where the state of Ohio gets its DPIA count. So your DPIA count went from around 64% to almost 100% of students. So it's a smart move because you picked up some additional money there with that. But now the state of Ohio sees that. You can see what they did in response to that in '96. They decided to plug that gap, and it cost you about $1.2 million because they decided to change the formula on that. It was in their mind costing too much money, even though there's a separate report saying the state is underfunding DPIA students by probably 30%. But moving on that. That is to say, that is why your state aid fell. There's no miscalculation on it. It's just the state decided they were not going to fund this anymore. Okay? And I think by the end of '27, it'll be a goner of a formula. So, like the 6 that died before it that I've witnessed. So, and I was going to take just a minute to talk about property taxes, but in your
We
power.
hit on emergency levies. Emergency levies, last minute maybe?
Well, emergency levies are, the Senate vote to concur with the veto from the House going to do away with emergency levies. The only emergency levies you're going to be able to collect after 2026 will be ones that are already scheduled to go on, and when they expire, you're going to have to replace those with something else. It'll probably be, they're looking right now in House Bill 129 for something that's called a fixed sum levy, just call it that. The House and the Senate were upset by calling them emergency levies and things like that. The only exception would be if you had a continuing substitute emergency levy, you will continue to be able to collect that as you are right now. And you don't, you have 3 emergency levies with another $23 million one on the ballot. All right, so when those come up, you're going to have to replace those with probably a fixed sum levy at that point. And we didn't talk about that. That will count towards the 20 mil floor. All right, 20 mil floor was put in place in 1977 so that school districts, every school system in the state has to collect at least 20 mils in order to be eligible for state foundation funding. Okay, and regular operating levies, not emergency levies, they're affected by 920. So if your property values go up 30%, your effective millage goes down 30%, okay? Until you hit 20 mils. After that, they can't roll back. Emergency levies don't count towards the 20 mil floor. That's why so many school districts, could be about 460 out of 609 on the 20 mil floor, but about 260 of them got there by using emergency levies to be able to get to the 20 mil floor, okay? After this iteration, unless you have that continuing substitute emergency levy, whatever levy you put back, fixed sum or regular operating levy, they're all going to be applied towards the 20 mil floor. There'll be nothing like what we have right now. That's already in motion, okay?
And that's $40 million for us.
Yeah.
They expire at 30, 31, and 34. So we have a little bit of time before they expire. that are coming up.
I hope that my slides that continue beyond the state fundings, I think I got my point through. Sorry, I didn't mean to rifle you through a lot of stuff, but
No, you're fine.
I'm old school. I always did my best learning when somebody put something in my hand and I could look
Oh,
at
yeah,
it.
this is just fine.
The other part of it is talking about property taxes. That, bad as this is, that's your biggest threat. And every school system in the state's biggest threat right now. So, wish I had more time to talk about that. That's a serious concern.
Well, what are some of the ideas that you're hearing in order to replace that?
Nothing. That's,
You haven't heard any ideas?
no, I love your asking me this question. There's 38
Thank you,
proposed
Sean.
pieces of legislation since January 1 to do any number of things to property taxes, from cutting it, doing away with emergency levies, to empowering county budget commissions to suspend inside millage. Not one, I mean it, I'll keep an eye on it all the time, not one piece of legislation has been proposed on how you would replace 24, it's 23.9, but round up $24 billion worth of property taxes in the state. Not
And if
one.
it is replaced, how will it be replaced? Will it be state, county? What does that look like? Because every district is so different. I mean, I know Sean and I talked about a few different things, and something that may help Parma wouldn't help, and our example was Columbia Station. So how would that,
I believe they would model it like Tennessee,
okay?
something like sales tax.
Mhm. But again, that would be very different for
Well,
different districts.
This ought to concern you all, that it would be then funded through a formula, like what we just talked about, and how that formula would be updated, not updated. Chances are, a district like you, an Orange, a Dublin, an Upper Arlington, a Sycamore down in Hamilton County would look like a very different school system. And I don't know whether they would allow you to supplement it with a school district income tax, because that's the only thing that I've heard that hadn't been attacked yet. So instead of property taxes, maybe this is what you get from the state, you make it up on school district income tax. I don't know.
How do they get away with ignoring the fact that the way our schools are funded is unconstitutional? The over-reliance on property taxes has been deemed unconstitutional, I don't know how many times. And that's why they came up with the Patterson Act. Okay, so now they're ignoring it again, and that's why there is the Vouchers for Ohio lawsuit, which was recently won, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to be appealed.
Common Police Court in
How
Franklin
do they
County
get
says
away
it's
with
illegal.
ignoring the Supreme Court over and over and over again when they have told us the way you're forcing schools to overly rely on property taxes? And they get away with it over and over. And that's why the property taxes are in revolt, and you can't blame them. We're putting all the onus on the property owners.
Yeah. They have.
And the state isn't helping with that. And they're coming up
No.
with all these ridiculous ideas that aren't going to help.
No.
Can you imagine funding through a sales tax? We're all going to pay $15 more for everything we buy? It's ridiculous.
Imagine that, and you live on the border with Indiana, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, Kentucky. I'm going there to buy stuff, right?
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of what they call leakage. Thank you for your attention. I'm sorry.
Thank you for
Ran a
your,
little bit long.
thank you for your report.
you.
Appreciate it. At this moment, I move to adopt resolution 2025-10-448 to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Ms. Carr,
Yes.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. See you in 10 minutes from now. 9th, 2025 Parma City School District Board of Education meeting. We have the page program from Parma Park, sorry. Newest start with a P for the Pledge of Allegiance today, page students. So stand for the pledge, please. Who starts?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, thank you so much. That's a great lead-in. Thank you so much. All right. Roll call, please.
Ms. Cohart.
Present.
Ms. Philbrick.
Present.
Ms. McTaggart.
Present.
Mr. Ruda. Present. Mr. Vaughn.
Present. Dr. Hunt, can you please confirm the meeting is currently being live streamed?
Yes, sir.
Can you please monitor the live streaming throughout the meeting? And if there's a problem, please speak up immediately so that the technical difficulty can be addressed.
I will.
I move to adopt, hold on, sorry. Lost my pages here. I move to adopt resolution 2025-10-449, approval of the board meeting agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-449. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Ms. Cohart.
Yes.
Ms. Philbrick.
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-10-449 has been approved. This brings us to information on board. Dr. Hunt.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Just a few things to bring to your attention this evening. First, as you know, we have our levy steering committee working very hard on the levy campaign, and so just some updates on some dates. Tomorrow there is a yard sign install, which is October the 10th. Volunteers are meeting at the JCPenney parking lot at 9:30 a.m. They'll be picking up signs and delivering them to those who requested. Yes, the JCPenney across from the shops.
Right,
The big-
former
yeah.
JCPenney.
Yeah, yes, the former JCPenney. Literature drop also taking place on Saturday, the 11th. Volunteers will be meeting at 9:45, beginning at 10 in the former JCPenney parking lot. If you're available, stop by. Coffee and donuts will be available, and we'll have our volunteers geared up to do the drop Saturday. We also have a variety of October events happening. This past weekend, the 4th, we had Normandy's homecoming and alumni night. There's also a parade. It was beautiful weather that evening. Next up, we'll have on the 17th, Valley Forge's homecoming, so mark your calendars for that event. On the 24th is the Battle of Parma, so Valley Forge versus Normandy. Certainly an inter-district rivalry that will bring a lot of energy on the 24th. Also on the 24th, and we'll have a flyer that'll go out to the community. We're also celebrating our kindergartners and our seniors. We started this tradition, I believe, last year, where our youngest students will join our seniors on the field before the big game. So if you're available for that evening, that should be a pretty cool event. We continue to tell the story of the district in a variety of ways. Carissa and Jack and others working on making sure we are highlighting people and programs. So if you weren't aware, it's National Principals Month. And it's important that we recognize the hard work that our principals do every day to take care of students and families. Often they are the unsung heroes of the school community. It's where the rubber meets the road, is at the building level, and our principals are leading the efforts there. You will see something come out here honoring our principals. We asked them to do a little video clip for us, so that will be pushed out here in the very near future. In addition, I'll just add that as we continue to engage the community, I use Twitter or X. Certainly you can follow me at Dr. S.J. Hunt. I post, I like, I repost anything that's happening at the building level. All of our building levels now have a Twitter handle that's active. And so again, we're just trying to highlight all of the great things that happen across our buildings using social media. On the 17th of October, I was invited to the Parma Area Chamber of Commerce to do a presentation. That'll be held as a lunch and learn at Cox Communications Atrium on the 17th, which is next Friday. And on the 20th, flyer will come out tomorrow. We'll be hosting a town hall at Normandy High School right here, 6 p.m. And we will be talking about the report card and the levy effort. So that's all I have.
On 10/20?
On 10/20, yes.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
very much. This brings us to communications. Board members, so I have a question actually to present to you guys. We have the OSBA Capital Conference coming up in November, and we often invite the new board members that have been elected. And I know we have one attending with us, and what I want to ask is, are you okay with us paying for their accommodations?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that, you don't have any problem with it?
no, because.
Thank you.
Discuss it or just?
I didn't say yes.
Oh.
I just started, I just
I
ended
was
my
gonna say,
sentence.
the reason why I'm a yes on it is because, excuse me, today I looked up and under ORC, it says that from the time of the election to the time of their swearing in, that we're supposed to do everything we can to give them developmental training,
Right.
training, professional training. Capital Conference is technically after the election.
Correct.
So therefore it fits within, I know our practice has always been not to do that, to have it reimbursed,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that that's what the ORC said. So I think it's only fair. It's hard to get people to go
Well, if
to
you want-
training if you say, come to this training, but you gotta pay for it.
Right,
So
right,
it's,
which happened to me when I first got elected.
Right.
But I didn't think it was fair at that time either. So I'm good with paying the accommodations. Clearly, Ms. McTaggart already expressed her opinion. Linda?
I thought the question was whether that it should be covered, that they wouldn't have to pay it themselves,
Correct.
except for the accommodations you're talking about?
For the
For the whole
accommodation.
thing?
correct, like the way we get, we
The way we-
don't have
Right,
to.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, fine with it,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't have a problem with it.
Ms. Kirby? You're good? Okay, so there we go. So good news there for the person that's coming with us. Your accommodations are taken care of.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So anyway, treasurer report, we have a lovely 5-year forecast that we just spent an hour listening to Mr. Moore about, so. So let's see if you can top that presentation.
I do have the clicker, maybe, hopefully it'll work. Okay, so this 5-year forecast, I do twice a year. It's required by law. It used to be, originally it was done in October and May. Then they changed it to the end of November and May. But with the new legislative bill, they changed it for this year to be due on October 15th, and then again in February, and then they're changing it again next year. So next year it's going to be August 31st and February 28th, which I do a permanent appropriations at the end of June, so we know our budget for the year, but some districts do a temporary budget, and then by the end of September, they pass their permanent budget, which doesn't make sense. Why would you do a 5-year forecast before you passed your permanent budget? But I don't have an answer for that. So the 5-year forecast, next year will be in August and February. In the 5-year, what's included in the 5-year forecast is the general fund, Fund 16, which we don't have. Fund 16 is like, some school districts put their emergency levy money all in Fund 16. I just put everything in the general fund because that's what we've done in the past. And then any debt that's related to this, to the general fund. So the purpose of this is for planning, let the community know where we stand, and of course, it's also required by law. That's why we do this we do twice a year. So the financial forecast is, I always say it's a painting. It's looking at a period in time. Right now, if we look 5 years in the future, how are we going to be? Of course, that's going to change, just like a weather forecast I explained. If you look at the weather forecast this morning, it's Thursday, they say one Monday it's going to be a high of 58. well, Monday may come and it might be a high of 62. Well, how are you so far off? Well, we were taking the information we have on Thursday and telling you what it looks like on Monday. Things are going to change in that 4 or 5 days when the forecast actually comes, when the actual Monday comes. So that's kind of like a 5-year forecast. We have assumptions which are included in your packet. If you look in you have the forecast and your assumptions, the notes in there. So you can read that. This will tell you how I came up with the numbers in my forecast. So the 5-year forecast, of course, is into revenues and expenditures. And of course, the revenues, the biggest sources of revenue are property taxes and our state funding, which Mr. Moore went over at the 5 o'clock meeting. And expenditures, the two drivers are salaries and benefits. Last year was around 83%. This year we're estimating a little higher, but those numbers could change as the year goes on. So fiscal year 26 and 27, there's been plenty of bills to curb the amount of property taxes we're going to receive. There was one, of course, we just talked about, no more emergency levies after December 31st. So there's lots of bills in the Senate, House and Senate, to try to take away our property taxes.
Was there not something else with property taxes? So whoever felt their property taxes were too high, they could, I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? And they would be reimbursed that money, so we wouldn't receive that money.
So there was a bill, it's not passed yet, I don't remember the number, that they said if your property taxes went up higher than inflation, you could get a tax credit going back 3 years, and that would apply to your future taxes. So if that's the case, that's hurting our 26 and 27 property taxes because they're giving that credit from those previous years in the future years. So there are quite a few bills, that's one of them.
Will we account for that after it passes, if it passes?
If it does pass, yes, we would account for that.
And how would you do that? How would you figure?
We would have to
Estimate.
we'd have to do some sort of estimate
Okay.
to figure out what that credit could be.
And then, so would we go through the 5-year forecast then again after?
We have to do it twice a year.
Oh, okay, so, okay.
Forecast is twice a year, so when that information becomes available, that would be included in
Okay.
future years. And hopefully that doesn't happen. But that is one of the bills, you are correct about that. So Mr. Moore went over this where they passed the budget on June 30th, but they can still make change, they can still override the governor's vetoes all the way up to December 31st of 27. And they've overridden one so far, but there's a couple others they may do. And so our funding could change, our state funding could go lower, but we just don't know at this point. Like I just mentioned, the House overrode the bill. They have until December 20, on their way to December 20. There's a bunch of bills they call trilogy bills, which are all, of course, all these bills take property taxes away from us. They have no way of saying, okay, well, we're going to take the money away from you. Here's how we're going to make it up for you. We're going to give you they take it, the home property tax owners, property tax payers say, okay, great, we're getting relief, but we're getting hurt and there's no way to make up for it, and there's no plan to make up for it. So it looks good, I guess, get them elected, but it's hurting us.
Doesn't it also hurt state and municipal services as well? Police, fire?
Yeah, so our
Yes,
property,
I think as well.
our property taxes go to the county, the cities, so either Seven Hills, Parma Heights, the school district, Tri-C, the library, and Metro Parks. So all those entities get property taxes. So if you take away, if they have an amendment to take away all the property taxes, all those governments are in trouble. We just get 67% of the property taxes go to us. So people are saying the schools are just getting too much money, they're getting too much property taxes. But we have no other way of obtaining that. cities can pass income taxes and the counties have sales tax and other forms of bed tax and all kinds of other forms of getting revenue, we only have property taxes. We're relying on it, and there's no other mechanism we can use to fund our operations. Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
and when they tried to fix that problem, they refused to do it.
So our operating revenue, of course, property taxes are our largest, and second largest would be state revenue. And as Mr. Moore went through, they're saying we're a rich school district because we can raise money through property taxes, but our enrollment's going down, so we're actually worse off, which is hurting us. I don't know if you can see this. Let me go over here. So right now, we're at $37 million. That's what we're planning for the end of this year. The end of next year, we're planning $22 million, and then year 28, we're at $4.8 million. So the state's going to look at 3 years out, saying, are you positive 3 years out? If you are, you're fine. We're not going to take control of you. But if you're negative in year 3, they're going to put you in fiscal precaution where you guys have to go into a plan. How are we going to correct that negative in year 3? But of course, right behind year 3 is year 4, minus $13 million. So when I'm here 1 year later from now, we're looking, that number is negative. They might say, you're in fiscal precaution, you guys have to come up with a plan. Of course, we have a levy up, which would generate money and eliminate that, but if the levy fails, then we have to come up with an alternative plan to get rid of that negative number. Does that make sense?
It does.
But they
So like
tie their
they're-
hands on how
Like
you
to
can
work
do
on
it.
that plan.
Could be like a nuclear option thing.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't come to that.
I don't want to see that.
So this
So we
is more,
start
had
cutting.
this
Yeah.
slide also. Green, I'm sorry, the blue is our revenue, and the red are expenses. Of course, as the expenses go higher than the revenue, our cash here is going down. So our cash balance is positive through 28, but after that, it doesn't look so good. So I've talked about this in the past. 75% of our revenue comes from state sources, or from local sources, 69% of property taxes, and then we have other local revenue, which is about 5.7%. And then the state gives us close to 25% of our revenue, which is through foundation or other means. This is just looking at our cash balances, of course. Then we're positive here. We got 30-day cash before, the ending cash is actually yellow. We want to have we want to have 60 days cash. And we're at 60 days cash now. We spend about $12 million a month in expenditures, so you want to have $24-25 million cash at all times. That's kind of a good plan. But as we're going down, we're going to be negative in 29.
There's a policy or an ORC that states how much cash we're supposed to have on hand?
We do have a policy, we have a cash reserve policy, which says 60 days. And if it's less than 60 days, then the treasurer's supposed to notify the board that we're less than 60 days. And I think I've said it over and over, so we know we're gonna be negative, we're coming up, it's gonna be negative. It might be might be below 60 days next year, but in your monthly report that I sent to the board, it tells you on the last page where we are.
What does the state do when our 60-day reserve starts creeping down below?
They don't-
Nothing, or?
They don't do anything, that's kind of an internal policy that
Internal
we
policy,
have.
okay. No, that's fine.
It's a good operation to have in 60 days.
Yeah.
But they don't, they use the 5-year forecast, they look 3 years out. That's
So
what
if
they
that
do.
third year number is negative, as we've already
Yes.
alluded to.
Then
yeah,
they
that's
say,
when we
come
get
up
in
with a
trouble.
plan,
All
we'll
right.
send myself and Dr. Hunt a letter saying, you know, a plan.
And why is it so bad to have the state come in and us produce that plan to show what we can do to meet the funds that we have?
Because if the state is in, you lose all local control. They're gonna pretty much tell you what you can and can't do. There's 3 levels of the state. There's fiscal caution, fiscal watch, fiscal emergency. fiscal caution is like the lowest level. Fiscal emergency is like you can't even pay your payroll. If it gets that bad, they're just taking over and telling you, you can't hire that person. They can do whatever they want because.
So is that like a one-man act, who they
No, it's.
determined to be the superintendent at that time? What happens to the school board?
Actually, Dr. Hunt has his hand up because he actually worked over there, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was one of the officers that reported up through me was finance, and so what'll happen is, like Sean said, initially, we might get a precaution letter, where we would, Sean and I would probably sit down with you to say, here are some things we need to shuffle, move, eliminate, whatever that looks like, so that we're positive on the forecast. If we end up in one of the other statuses, caution, watch, or emergency, if you get to emergency, they appoint a commission that will come in here, and you, as a board, will have no control over this district. They will tell us what to spend, who to cut, and what that looks like.
That's what I was
So
asking.
that's not a position that we want to be in, nor should the board want to be in,
Right.
with the state telling us what to do.
But our hands seem to be tied as to how we can raise revenue. They're really restricting how we can collect taxes. We can't do this, we can't do that. They're taking away at the state level. They're tying our hands, taking away our ability to raise the money, and yet they're forcing us into an untenable position is what I'm trying to say.
Which
I
is
believe
why
I
we're
see
doing
what's
everything
happening.
in our power to try not to get to that.
But I don't see how you avoid it. I really don't.
Does that,
Do you?
I was gonna, just a quick question, does that include like programs that we offer, like they say you no longer doing this?
I mean, if you can't
because
pay for
Right.
the resources or the
that's- So you
staffing.
get rid of career tech, that's too expensive, get rid of this, that's too, and
Potentially.
you have no say-so over what they deem
If
as.
you're at that highest status, yeah, they will tell us what to do.
And when you have such a huge gap, these little things that you can tweak here and there aren't going to make up for it. They're not.
Probably not.
Full stop. I'm not an accountant, but I can see that.
So
Absolutely.
88% of our expenditures are estimated to be salary benefits. That's an estimate. Last year's actual was around 83. And that's high, but there's reasons why ours is so high, because we have our own career tech. Other places, they farm out the career tech to County Career Center or Polaris. We do our own. So we have that, plus a lot of we have our own print shop. We have our own guys do it rather than send it out to some company to do our printing. Also, we have our own maintenance service, so we do all our stuff here. We don't send it out. So that's why the number's so high. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just what it is.
Right.
88% this is the whole pie. 88% of it is salary benefits. Now, a school district that farms out their busing or farms out something, their number is going to be lower in wages. It's just going to be higher in purchase services. That doesn't mean it's bad or good. It's just how it is. So I
So we're a people business, so.
yeah, we're a people business, so it's going to be high. You don't have to look at that number and say 88 is high, we got to get rid of employees. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just showing you this is what it is. That makes sense?
It does. Thank you.
So what can we do? Further consolidations of district? I mean, I don't think that's probably an option, but it's something we could do. New operating levy, we had one in May that failed, we have one that's up in November. For renewal levies, I mentioned there's three emergency levies we have expiring in 30, 31, and 34. I know those are far off, but we gotta start planning, because that money's going away if those emergency levies just expire, we can't renew them.
So why don't we start planning? I mean, do you feel it would be beneficial to come up with a plan, just as if we were in fiscal precaution and we had to come up with a plan to give to the state in order to get out of that?
Yes, of course, they're changing the rules on us. So last week, we were able to have emergency levies, which is $40 million of our revenue, and this week, we can't have them.
Right, so
So next week, it might be.
emergency levy out, I mean, just for the next couple of years. So we're facing fiscal precaution, when was that, 27?
Probably.
27. So would it be beneficial to come up with a plan now to put in place rather than wait for the state? And I know we're trying to keep them out and do what we can to continue to stretch that and go on, but don't you feel it would be beneficial and like a safety plan B? Here's our plan B and here's the plan if the levy doesn't pass, and so this is what we're gonna do, these are the cuts we're gonna make, this is, this,
Right, absolutely. We would look at all that stuff, but I can't come up with a plan that's gonna make up for $40 million a year. There's no plan that either me or Dr. Hunt has that can make up for $40 million a year. It just isn't.
and you're talking about the $40 million a year, you're talking about the,
The emergency levy is expiring. You have to replace those with regular levies. That's just the case. I mean, unless they go to some.
but that's not until 30/31.
30, 31, and 34, right.
Yeah, so I'm talking about 27.
Oh, yeah, we're looking at options that we're gonna put
We
in
are?
place. Yes.
Okay,
We were looking at most recently, possible early retirement incentive for teachers to
Okay, you mentioned
get the
that.
salaries that are like $100,000 up here and bring it down to hire an employee making $45,000. That's savings you get every year. I'm not saying that's going in place, it's just an option we're looking at, we're having a company look at it, but there's had to be a lot more discussions. That's just it's one option. But we are looking at options, it's just, they change the rules on us frequently now. So what our story is, under current laws, we're projecting a negative cash balance of 29 in the forecast. Our revenues are flat, our expenditures are increasing probably 3% a year, 3-4%. Most of our funding is coming from property taxes, 75%. I think last year, this year we're gonna get about $100 million in property taxes out of our $150 million budget. So we're definitely property tax heavy. So we have, that's where we are. And that's a lot of school districts are reliant on property taxes.
Is that slide in here?
Yeah, put it all in there. No, that's not that. There's-
That's what I'm asking,
there's-
that one is not in here.
There should be a handout.
Oh, we have that handout? Okay. Where's the handout? He said it's not in there.
Oh,
I said
actually, no,
that.
it's not in there. It's in there. That presentation's not in there, just the.
It's in the board docs.
Just the board, it's in board docs, yeah.
Okay, so it's not in that packet?
Right. it's in
That
board
slide
docs.
is not in that packet?
Correct.
That's all I want to know. Okay, thank you.
So, bring me to the end, you guys, you have asked a lot of questions, good questions. Do you have any additional questions you want me to address?
I've got nothing, thank you for your report. I have nothing. Anybody else? Anybody else? Questions?
No.
Which is, the final comment is that not only is it the inability down the road to do the emergency levels, but the decrease in state funding.
Right.
And that's an ongoing issue.
Yeah, they come up with bills to restrict you. One of the bills is that allow the county budget commission to say, well, you don't need all that property taxes, we're gonna lower the amount you get. It's kind of an arbitrary thing. The voters said, they approved this, but you're saying, no, you don't need it. That's kind of subjective. Why are you over, or even something that the voters' will is supposed to give you, so, I don't know.
Okay.
It's tough.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. This brings us to public participation. Do you have any? All right. I know I'm looking for it. Don't have it in my notes. So this- What did that one? Sorry about that, folks. I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-451, approval of the written record of proceedings from October 7th, 2025 special board meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2025-10-451. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Resolution 2025-10-451 has been approved. This brings us to business.
Business committee or business?
Oh, wait a minute. Business of the board. We don't have any amendments, sorry. So this brings us to business of the board. Business of the board is, we have the 2025 to 2026 PTA scholarship program. As you know, that the board has often gives out 3 $1,000 scholarships purely funded by the donations from the board members. So we need to decide if that is something we want to continue to do. And unfortunately, 3 of us I know will not be here for that burden, so that would be up to the new people coming on. So I don't know if you guys want to discuss that.
I would absolutely like to do it, yeah. I mean, I just look at it as the first $600 I'm getting paid by the district is going back to the district.
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely, absolutely want to do that again this year.
Any more discussion?
I feel it would be beneficial to discuss it with the new board members when we have our retreat.
Okay.
Just,
Instead
I
of putting
mean,
them on the spot.
yeah, because we
I
can't
don't know
discuss
what
it with them now, and they're 3 people, they're gonna be the majority of us.
Right.
When do we need to make a decision by? Because
I think we need to decide soon. I believe PTA reached out
No.
Need to know by November 5th.
November 5th.
November 5th, 2 days, I need to know,
So-
so they said it's the deadline.
Okay.
When is the
Right.
money due?
Oh, not till next year.
It's usually in March.
Yeah.
So why, just
Because
curious, why?
because
There's a
Yes.
whole process
The
that they
process
do,
of
start giving me a
applications
whole
and
list
stuff.
of deadlines I need to just make.
Can we request that we give them an answer after the December board retreat is scheduled?
I can ask them.
I think we would all appreciate it, only because it just makes sense to have those 3 new members discuss it with.
Absolutely. I agree. I can reach out to PTA and find out.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, all right, move on from that. So this brings us to business.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-10-452 declaring select pupil impractical to transport for the 2025-2026 school year.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-452. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-10-452 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-10-453 authorizing offering advertising sponsorships for district athletic programs.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-453. Any questions or comments from the board?
I do. So these, we've had a lot of discussions over the advertising and sponsorships for the athletic programs. One of them was recalled, is that correct? Or the T-shirts or something, there were T-shirts for the athletic programs?
Do you know about that?
I believe there are T-shirts that were printed, yes.
And so these checks were already gathered and cashed, is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay. We know that some of
Somebody
them
can look
were.
into it.
So I just think that it is really important, the systems and processes, because, and I'd like to see the contracts, the actual, the lettering, any slogans, or anything like that that's involved in these advertising, because we did have a pretty good mistake that was made, right, where we were supposed to vote on this before we collected and cashed checks, and so I think that it caused some, well, it caused some frustration with a member of our community that has always been a great support of our district, that's a graduate of our district, and it was a really unfortunate It was very unfortunate with the way that it was handled. So how can we ensure that we follow our own policy in this, we're not putting the cart before the horse, and we vote on these things, and we also get the information needed in order to vote on it?
Is there any policy regarding political statements on these T-shirts or banners or whatever?
It wasn't actually a political statement. I think that it's subjective, because the statement or the slogan was "Make your voices heard," and that's not actually political or partisan. So I disagree that it violates our policy, but I know that we did violate our policy in the sense that we're voting on this now, and the advertisement is already up. So
If a politician is putting forth a statement for their own benefit on something for the school, I don't think that it is appropriate.
Okay.
that's fair. I mean, that's fair of you to say,
So
but we should have
she's
had
just
this
saying we should have-
conversation.
right, she's saying we should have had the conversation prior to printing anything. So we
And-
should have been able
Well,
to
is there
see.
a policy law
we
or
should-
not? Why is there a conversation if it's not allowed?
No. She's just saying that we should approve it before it gets printed, and we did not do that.
Approve it.
Right, to approve it, like we're doing right now. We're approving these things, but a lot of the money and these things have already been printed. So.
I agree with that, but I mean, if something violates policy, it
We
violates
did
policy.
violate our policy.
What she is saying, that we should have done it prior to.
I
That's all.
get
That's
that.
what-
I'm just saying,
yeah.
I know who you're talking about, and I think if it's a
It's a-
political
it's a-
statement or a political
That
aggrandizement,
has
it
nothing to
shouldn't be
do,
allowed.
that has nothing to do with
I
what
would
we're
agree
talking
with
about
you,
right now.
Linda, I do
So-
agree with you. And so
Okay.
actually, I would like to bring more to your attention in that we have other political, I'm sorry that this is,
No.
but this is what's, I mean,
No, go
so
ahead.
we have emails that are set up and received by the district administration, okay, from, let's see, Capital Journal, that is very political, and it's partisan. So if we're going to.
But that's not in the school. It's not
It is
in the school.
No, it is in the school, Linda, that's what I'm saying.
What are you talking about? It's in the
So
school.
it's being dispersed
What is?
to,
Yes.
Ohio Capital Journal is being dispersed to the staff. And so it's very political and partisan. And so if, I think here, and I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying that it should be across the board then.
Right.
Okay? And so
100%.
also, there are flags in some of our schools that are very political in nature. And so if we're going to be fair across the board and we don't want any politics in the school, then we have to take care of all the politics. And so those flags should be taken down from the schools. The Ohio Capital
Well,
Journal.
our flag is political.
No, it isn't, it's the
Well,
American flag.
you want to go to that?
So the Ohio Capital Journal, Mother Jones, which is a new one that, those should not be dispersed to staff. So like Ohio Capital Journal, the one that we just received recently.
That's coming to our emails.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
But
To
it's not
staff.
being posted on a school.
But so it
Right?
can't be dispersed to staff then. And there are political flags.
Okay.
That is freedom of speech.
Right, so we have.
Then
Can we
his
do-
slogan is freedom of
Because-
speech.
Yeah,
You
but
cannot
there
argue
are
one way.
rules
Let's be fair
within a
here.
school that
Ladies,
you cannot do that.
Ladies, it's.
You're
okay.
right.
So
So this should
agree
not
to
be
disagree on
dispersed.
this,
All
and
right.
We'll, you can address that
When
later. Right
can we
now,
address it?
right now, we're authorizing advertising. All I want to do is say yes or no on this advertising.
No, I
for district
understand that,
program. So
Steve,
let's-
but, so here's the
No, we'll
thing,
have
though,
to-
there's
we'll
a
have
lot
to-
of other things that are
We'll-
tied to
we'll
it.
have
So if
to-
you're putting it off, then I'd like to
We'll
have a
have-
date where we
yeah,
can
we can-
revisit
we
it,
can
because
revisit
this
it.
is something that's very
Right,
important.
it'll have to be a
And it has
resolution
to
or
be
something.
fair across the board.
Right, we can-
Those flags
right.
then should come down.
Okay.
Dr. Hunt,
I move to call the
will the
question.
flags
Second.
come down?
Move the call question.
I move to call the question.
Second?
Move to call what?
Call the question and take roll call.
Okay.
And I got a second.
Point of privilege, Mark.
Already got a motion and a
So,
second.
Dr. Hunt, I
Got
would
a
like
motion
an
and a
answer
second.
to that,
Roll
please.
call, please.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart,
No.
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. Trippitt,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-10-453 has been approved.
If any, unless another board member has anything to discuss, this will conclude business.
Thank
I do
Thank you.
have
Just-
something to discuss. You just asked any other board member. I am an elected board member. And I would like to offer a public apology on my own account to Councilman Kevin Kusmal for the frustration and what happened. And we misstepped. We didn't follow our own policy, and I apologize, and I hope that we can do better moving forward.
Thank you. This brings us to curriculum. Ms. Krupek?
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-454, authorizing agreement for Power School enrollment registration software.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2025-10-454. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Kerpick?
Yes.
Ms. Copart?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, Resolution 2025-10-454 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-455, authorizing agreement for Power School special programs software.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2025-10-455. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Kerpick?
Yes.
Ms. Copart?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, Resolution 2025-10-455 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss, this will conclude curriculum.
Thank you, Ms. Kerpick. Finance, please.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-456, supplemental appropriations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2025-10-456. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Copart?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, Resolution 2025-10-456 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-457, authorization to accept the activities purpose statement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2025-10-457. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Copart?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, Resolution 2025-10-457 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-458, approval to renew the agreement with iSolved Benefits to manage and administrator a flexible spending account.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2025-10-458. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Copart?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, Resolution 2025-10-458 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-459, adoption of updated 2025-2026 budget estimated and fiscal projections for fiscal years 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, and 2030.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2025-10-459. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question.
Sure.
This budget estimated and fiscal projections, does that include what was used, the recommendation from the third-party auditing company? The zero teacher reviews?
I don't think that has anything to do with that.
So, in the forecast, you have to put salaries, of course, one of our largest expenditures. And so in the future, I have to put what I think we should use as a base. Increase for teachers in classified and administrative for the next 5 years. That doesn't mean that's what it's going to be, but you have a placeholder there because, of course, the unions, we have to negotiate contracts starting next year. So even if I put zero in there as a placeholder, that doesn't mean teachers are going to get a 0% raise next year. Classified's going to get a 0% raise. That's just a placeholder I put in there. That means we have to negotiate for the next 5 years. So
That's not actually the question I was asking. I appreciate the elaboration, and I want everyone to know after receiving that information, I do not agree with zeroing out teacher raises. I was trumped on that, but what I was asking is, So you are telling me that that information that was recommended from the third-party auditing company is included in these, correct?
There was no recommendation.
It was not a recommendation, that's what we were told.
I didn't tell you that.
No, Sean did. And I did request, actually, Dr. Hunt, that third-party auditing report over 3 times now, in which you have refused to give it to me. And it's important that we receive it, because right now we're voting on something that one of the recommendations used from that report is in here. Now we have to vote on it, and you're refusing to give the information.
actually-
We're voting on the 5-year forecast.
There's no recommendation from an audit.
President, well, as Sean just explained, he zeroed out teacher raises until a levy passes, okay? In which that's when I said, wow, are there other options? Because I disagree with zeroing out teacher raises dependent on a levy. I don't think that that's right. And then it was explained that that's just a placeholder. And I said, okay, it's just a placeholder. However, are there other options that we can look into?
So-
He said, yes, there are other options in the third-party auditing report. And I said, oh, okay, may I have a copy of that, please, so that I can view it? And so you're actually going against policy again, Dr. Hunt, by refusing to give it to me.
Actually, I'm not.
You are.
At the beginning of my tenure here, I reached out to a third-party consultant that I asked them to come in and take a close look at our district to see if we can see some cost savings in the future. I have the report, as I've shared 3
You
or 4
haven't
times.
shared it with us. It's data that we need, and we're voting on it right now.
No, we're not.
No.
It was used to make these numbers,
No, it wasn't.
President and Vice President. Yes, Sean just said that it was. Why are you withholding the report
So-
from the Board of Education?
So I'm happy to explain, Mr. President. As I was sharing, I reached out to a consultant to come in and do an audit. It wasn't something that the board directed me to do as I'm coming into the district.
We
Please let me
govern you.
speak.
Let him speak.
Okay, I apologize.
I run the operations of the district as you've hired me to do so.
And
So
so
I
you
have-
should be offering the report.
He is.
No, he is
Going to
not.
He's going to offer the report once he goes through with his senior leadership team.
We should have it the same time as the senior leadership
Let them do
team.
their job, that we hired them for.
Let
And
us
that
do
is to
our
look at
job.
that stuff. We are doing our job.
You
We're
guys are
making
fighting
policy.
me on
No, I'm not
information
fighting you.
that's
I'm just
needed that
telling you.
impacts
I'm
the
just-
district.
I'm just.
And you're withholding the information, why?
I'm not with.
What are you hiding? Why are you holding that from us?
There's no.
I have,
So I'm
okay, well
happy
then
to
if you're
explain if you'll let
not.
me speak. Happy to explain. May I have the floor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I reached out to a consultant group to come in and look at specific areas in our district. Because as I came in, I noticed that we have systems that we might need to have in place so that we are cost effective.
Yes, sir.
They provided me with a report that I am vetting with my leadership team. Because in that report, there are a variety of recommendations that I want to bring to the board as considerations in a presentation to the board after we've been able to fully vet those recommendations. This is not unusual. Districts and superintendents do this all the time. This is not the state auditor, this is a consulting group, so I want to point that out. This wasn't something directed by the state or by the board to do. I brought this to the board.
Does the report
And
belong to the district, or does it belong to you, Dr. Hunt?
I plan to provide a presentation to the board with those considerations after we've reviewed it so that we can determine if there are recommendations in that report that we should consider for potential cost savings in the future.
While I appreciate that, we should receive the same data that senior leadership receives.
You will.
And also, we are over the superintendent. We govern you, that's why we were elected. And so that information, we need time to read it, interpret it, and come up with questions.
I'm going to present
To get
that to
it
you.
the same day of the presentation is not efficient time. It's not sufficient time, excuse me. It is not. And you're withholding a report that belongs to the district, not to you, Dr. Hunt.
Okay.
And again, there is no reason for you to do so. And board members, you should all be in line with receiving data that affects the district and the information that we need in order to make decisions. And you're
There's-
withholding it,
there's
and you
nothing
are
that
wrong.
affects
the-
This is not the
So
first
we're not
time you
worried
have
about it.
withheld information we
You
need in order to make
You need to be
decisions.
more respectful.
No, sir, I'm very respectful. I'm being respectful, I'm asking information. We were elected by the voters. We are here to govern the superintendent. And the superintendent received a report based on the district paid for it, and he's
Can we do
refusing
roll
to
call,
give us
please?
the information.
Which is part
And
of-
you know what? Instead of sticking up for the district, the students, and the taxpayers, you're sticking up for Dr. Hunt for some reason he won't release it. And that's
You're
wrong.
looking at this wrong.
No, I'm not. He's keeping a
He never
report
said
on
he
our
wasn't going to
behalf.
release
The
it.
forecast is the
No,
forecast.
no, you're
This
not.
is what he's doing as
No,
part
I
of
am not.
operation.
Ladies,
Move to call the question.
roll call, please.
Second.
Mrs. Cohart,
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart,
No.
Ms. Gerbeck,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-10-459 has been approved.
I'm almost afraid to say this.
Unless another board member has something to discuss.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing,
Do it.
and again, I am not trying to be difficult or cause any conflict. I want the information I need in order to make decisions, informed decisions. And zeroing out teacher raises in this 5-year forecast until a levy passes is wrong. It's not okay just to keep state at bay. We need that report, and now you guys have all voted on something that you don't have information on. So
Thank
that's
you.
why I voted no.
Thank you. Let's move on to human resources, please, Ms. McTaggart.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-460. Approval of the following certificated exhibits: confirmation of stipend amounts, confirmation of supplemental appointments, approval of certificated non-compensated leaves of absence.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-460. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. McTaggart,
Yes.
Ms. Gerbeck,
Yes.
Ms. Cohart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-10-460 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-461, acceptance of certificated retirements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-461. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. McTaggart,
No. Excuse me, yes.
Ms. Gerbeck,
Yes.
Ms. Cohart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-10-461 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-462. Approval of the following classified exhibits: confirmation of classified appointments, confirmation of classified replacements, confirmation of classified change of assignments, approval of classified non-compensated leaves of absences, acceptance of classified resignations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-462. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. McTaggart,
Yes.
Ms. Gerbeck,
Yes.
Ms. Cohart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-10-462 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-463, acceptance of classified retirements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-463. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. McTaggart,
Yes.
Ms. Gerbeck,
Yes.
Ms. Cohart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-10-463 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-464, authorization to release from employment during probationary period classified employees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-464. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. McTaggart,
Yes.
Ms. Gerbeck,
Yes.
Ms. Cohart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-10-464 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-10-465, creation of family access, support, and events assistant position, and adoption of job description.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-465. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. McTaggart,
Yes.
Ms. Gerbeck,
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-10-465 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss for human resources, that concludes human resources.
Thank you, Ms. McTaggart. Brings us the policy, Ms. Cohart.
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution 2025, sorry, -10-466, approval of the following revised policies. Policy 7530.01, board-owned technology resources used for communication. Policy 8305, information security.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-466. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Ms. Kirkland?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-10-466 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything else to discuss, that will conclude policies.
Thank you, Ms. Cohart. Any information requested by board members? No.
Yes, I do request, again, the third-party auditing report,
It's
Dr.
coming.
Hunt.
It's coming. It's
Before the
coming.
presentation.
It's coming.
There is no
Thank you.
reason to not receive it at the same time as senior leadership.
Thank you.
I don't want your vetted thoughts. I would like the data, please.
Thank you. Questions, sir?
I said thank you.
So there's an opportunity for the public to have questions answered by the board. At this time, let me read my little spiel. It's right here. All right. At this point, we open the meeting to the public to address the board with comments or concerns. We have one such request. Request to be heard forms will be completed and submitted in person to the administrative secretary. All statements shall be directed to the board president as per board policy 0169.1. Comments that are repetitive, obscene, disparaging, abusive, irrelevant, and/or comments that constitute a threat will not be tolerated, and the speaker will be asked to stop speaking and/or to leave the meeting. Please know that various board policies exist which set forth processes and procedures to be used in investigating and addressing personnel issues, and cannot be addressed in public. As per board policies, we may not be able to respond directly or address some issues at this time. If information is not readily available, we will respond to our next regular meeting. 3 minutes have been allotted per speaker. Please remember to state your name and address for the record, and would please Gary Ruschel?
Yes.
Ruschel. You can go up to the podium there and ask your question, please.
I was just wondering, what's the salary of a teacher with 13 years experience and a master's degree roughly?
Can I answer the question?
Yeah, do you want to?
Usually.
Could you state your name and your
My name is
address,
Gary
please?
Rochelle.
And your address.
What else you need?
Your address.
7257 Lakeview Drive, Parma.
Okay, thank you.
I was just curious, what is the salary for a teacher with about 13 years experience and a master's degree?
So,
Just roughly.
I saw the form prior to you
Yeah.
asking it, so
I
I
didn't
looked
look
it
at
up,
it.
so I'm not knowing this right off the top of my head.
Okay.
That number is $83,138.
It's 83 for a regular teacher. Licensed teacher, it's 83 with 13 years experience?
13
And a
years
master's?
experience and a master's degree,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I thought it was going to be a little bit higher than that. Okay. And then, I think you answered the question, how much is the budget, how much does the school district get how much does it cost to run the school district a year, roughly? I think you said 150 roughly. And you
Yes,
get
sir.
about 100 from the property tax?
So our budget's approximately $150 million per year. What we receive in property taxes, as part of the 5-year forecast, we receive $1,675,405 in property taxes every year.
Okay, yeah, that's all. That's my two
Yep.
questions.
Is it?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you for coming out. All right. All right, we do not need executive session, so I move to adopt resolution 2025-10-468 to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-10-468. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. Burbank.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
This meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming today.